Hey guys, how are you? Happy Saturday. So, in an effort to be in the group, and my kind of expertise is not in meals and food and nutrition. It's really not. My expertise is not on fitness and teaching you how to do it. I am more of a person that's strong mentally and good at self-discipline. So I figured I was going to bring that more into the group and share with you how I've gotten to where I am now, because I'm not a fitness expert and I'm not a nutrition expert, but I am a good motivator and I'm very good at mental toughness. So I wanted to share with you a book that I read a while back. It's called Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I hate reading, but it was actually the first book I read as a Beachbody coach. And I thought I would read like 10 pages a day. My chair keeps sliding, sorry. I thought I'd read like 10 pages a day, and there's like, I don't know, almost 200 pages in the book, so I thought it would take me a while to read it. But anyway, it got so good that I read it in 2 days. So I wanted to share a little bit about it with you because this one particular story made sense to me. So I'm going to read to you. So if you haven't experienced the payoff of the compound effect, the compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. What's most interesting about this process to me is that even though the results are massive, the steps in the moment don't feel significant. Whether you're using the strategy for improving your health, your relationship, your finances, or anything else for that matter, the changes are so subtle, they're almost imperceptible. These small changes offer little or no immediate result. No big win, no obvious "I told you so" payoff. So why bother doing it? Most people get tripped up by the simplicity of the compound effect. For instance, they quit after the 8th day of running because they're still overweight. Or they stop practicing the piano after 6 months because they haven't mastered anything other than chopsticks. Or they stop making contributions to their IRA after a few years because they could use the cash right then. And it doesn't seem to be adding up so much anyway. What they don't realize is that these small, seemingly insignificant steps completed consistently over time will create a radical difference. Let me give you a few detailed examples. So that paragraph kind of sums up what my thought process is I just have to trust what is happening right then and that I'm doing the right thing over time, consistently, and being patient with it so that I can eventually get to where I'm going. To be honest, in the last year, I've been a Beachbody coach for about 3 years, and I think 3 years prior to that was when all of the stuff started going on crazy in my head with my separation and divorce and kind of where my fitness journey began, but not even really as a fitness journey. It became as a stress reliever. It started as a stress reliever. And so through that process is where I am today. But I just have to trust it. I was telling a story to someone the other day. I was supposed to run a triathlon, a small, short triathlon this morning, but it got canceled because of the hurricane. But I was telling her that the bike ride was 16 miles, and I've never ridden 16 miles on a bike. The last time I rode the bike was 2 months ago, and it was 12 miles during the other triathlon. I haven't been training for a triathlon. I'm just going to roll in and do it. And that's because of the workouts that I've been doing on a regular basis have built up trust for me in my head, knowing that I can complete it. So I was telling her that after the 16 miles, the transition of riding a bike into running, it was really difficult the last time when I rode the bike for 12 miles. But in my head, I know my body is capable of doing it, and I know what it feels like to run 3 miles and feel good when I'm running it. So what I have to do is mentally go in my head and feel like I am running those 3 miles when I'm feeling my best, even though after the 16-mile bike ride, I don't feel my best and I feel like I want to puke and fall down and not do it at all. But I want to finish the race, and I trust my body is capable of doing it, so I have to just mentally go in my head and trust that I can do it. It's the same in this last year. To be honest with you, I did not feel like I was making progress as far as my visual progress with my body. I felt like I'm making progress in talking to people and motivating people and helping people, but with my own goals, I didn't feel like I was making progress. But at the same time, I knew and know and trust that by doing these habits that I'm doing consistently over time, eventually it's going to catch up. It can't not catch up. It can turn backwards if I stop doing them, but it can only get better if I keep doing it. So I have to trust that. And in the last month or so, something's happening with my body and it's shifting that I'm like all of a sudden really looking in the mirror and like, oh, it's happening now. I'm happy with those results. So that's kind of what I'm talking to you about today, is just trusting that the compound effect of things, of doing those small little behaviors, even though they seem insignificant right now, they're going to give you big rewards later, even though they're not giving them to you right now. So with that said, let me read the story to you. It's called Three Friends. Let's take three buddies who all grew up together. They live in the same neighborhood with very similar sensibilities. Each makes around $50,000 a year. They're all married and have average health and body weight, plus a little bit of that dreaded marriage flab. Friend number one, let's call him Larry, plods along, doing as he always has done. He's happy, or so he thinks, but complains occasionally that nothing ever changes. Friend number two, Scott, starts making some small, seemingly inconsequential positive changes. He begins reading 10 pages of a good book per day and listening to 30 minutes of something instructional or inspirational on his commute to work. Scott wants to see change in his life, but doesn't want to make a fuss over it. He recently read an interview with Dr. Oz in Success Magazine and chose one idea from the article to implement in his life. He's going to cut 125 calories from his diet every day. No big deal. We're talking maybe a cup of cereal or less, trading that can of soda for a bottle of seltzer, or switching from mayo to mustard on his sandwich. It's all doable. He's also started walking a couple thousand extra steps per day, less than a mile. No grand acts of bravery or effort. Stuff anyone could do. But Scott is determined to stick with these choices, knowing that even though they're simple, he could also easily be tempted to abandon them. Friend number three, Brad, makes a few poor choices. He recently bought a new big screen TV so he can watch more of his favorite programs. He's been trying out the recipes he's seen on the Food Channel. The cheesy casseroles and desserts are his favorite. Oh, and he installed a bar in his family room and added one alcoholic drink per week into his diet. Nothing crazy. Brad just wants to have a little more fun. At the end of 5 months, no perceivable differences exist among Larry, Scott, or Brad. Scott continues to read a little bit every night and listens to audios during his commute. Brad is enjoying life and doing less. Larry keeps doing as he always has. Even though each man has his own pattern of behavior, 5 months isn't long enough to see any real decline or improvement in their situations. In fact, if you charted the three men's weights, you'd see a rounding error of 0. They look exactly equal. At the end of the 10 months, we still can't see noticeable changes in any of their lives. It's not until we get to the end of the 18th month that the slightest differences are measurable in these three friends' appearances. But at about month 25, we start seeing really measurable visual differences. At month 27, we see an expansive difference, and by month 31, the change is startling. Brad is now fat, while Scott is trim by simply cutting 125 calories a day in 31 months. Scott has lost 33 pounds. Brad ate only 125 calories more a day in that same time frame and gained 33 pounds. Now he weighs 67 more pounds than Scott. But the differences are more significant than weight. Scott's invested almost 1,000 hours reading good books and listening to self-improvement audios. By putting his newly gained knowledge into practice, he's earned a promotion and a raise. Best of all, his marriage is thriving. Brad, he's unhappy at work, and his marriage is on the rocks. And Larry's pretty much exactly where he was 2.5 years ago, except now he's a little more bitter about it. The phenomenal power of the compound effect is that simple. The difference between people who employ the compound effect for their benefit compared to their peers who allow the same effect to work against them is almost inconceivable. It looks miraculous, like magic or quantum leaps. After 31 months or 31 years, the person who uses the positive nature of the compound effect appears to be an overnight success. In reality, his or her profound success was the result of small, smart choices completed consistently over time. That's my point. Be patient. Be consistent over time. You can do it.